Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, just mobilized the Minnesota National Guard, and what it means goes far beyond, security support, okay? So let's pause on that, because most people think that the Guard only shows up for disasters or riots. I mean, what's happening here is a bit different, okay? So here's the situation, and it's not good anywhere. I mean, this is just horrible what's happening in Minnesota. After the fatal shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, protests have continued in Minnesota, some peaceful, some tense, and law enforcement has been stretched thin. I mean, in response, Walz ordered the state National Guard to mobilize and stage for, support of local law enforcement and public safety agencies. Now, when I say that, that is different than, him saying that he has deployed troops into the streets, because he has not done that yet, okay? They are on standby. They're not actively patrolling, but that detail itself is important. Okay, so here is, where a lot of people, miss the nuance. I mean, having the Guard ready changes the whole equation. Even before they show up, I mean, Walz says that the Guard is there to protect life, preserve property, and support the rights of the Minnesotans to assemble peacefully in protest. That is so beautiful, by the way. That is so beautiful. Oh, right? That's what he is telling people publicly, and he is not wrong that the governors can activate the Guard for safety and support. That's part of their job. But before we go on, think about this. What does it mean when a military-trained force is brought in to support, policing in a domestic protest scenario? That's not a small shift in tone. I mean, here's what it looks like in practice. Local police may respond differently. Protesters react differently. The presence of military personnel after the dynamics on the ground, what was once civilian law enforcement becomes visually and contextually more like a militarized response. And that matters, not because anyone is assuming Walz, wants a crackdown, but because, once the Guard is mobilized, even for supporting protesters against ICE, the line between civilian and military involvement becomes very blurry. And history teaches us something, really important here. I mean, things rarely escalate in one giant leap. They escalate when each step, starts to feel normal. So this also comes in a, context that it's already tense. This is labeled the largest operation for DHS and ICE in history. Okay, and it's underway in Minnesota. Local leaders are pushing back against those operations, and a federal probe has been opened into Governor Walz and local officials tied to protests and responses. All of this sets a stage where military involvement in domestic public safety is no longer theoretical. So, let's clarify why this is dangerous for basically everyone. When the National Guard is used in situations tied to political or policy disputes, it can normalize the idea that dissent qualifies for military level attention. It can make future leaders more comfortable calling in military forces on non-emergency situations. I mean, it blurs lines between public and, safety and national security responses. It changes how, ordinary citizens perceive authority and how authority perceives dissent. That's not speculation. That's structural. This doesn't mean that Walz is cracking down on freedom of speech, but it does raise a bigger question. I mean, we rarely ask out loud. At what point does reliance on military-trained forces to back up civil law enforcement change the relationship between government and the people? Because once that shift starts, it does not require dramatic action to become dangerous. All it takes is repetition. Okay, all it takes is acceptance. And that is how norms weaken. So yes, Walz says that, activating the Guard to protect life, property, and peaceful protesters. But the real conversation isn't just why he needs to do that, why he did it. It's what happens next and how this shapes our, expectations of government power in domestic affairs. People hear Guard mobilized and think it's just logistics. But when you bring in trained military forces to back up law enforcement around protests, even just in standby, you've changed the playbook. And that shift is bigger than any one headline, because once that shift takes hold, it does not disappear when the protests die down. It shapes expectations. And that's the part we all need to pay attention to. This could very well lead to a local police and National Guard like war with ICE on the streets, near protesters, near civilians, near just people that are living their lives. This can escalate the situation on the ground so much that we end up going backwards instead of forward. Thank you for watching. I am Jared Zisser, and this is Ring of Fire. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications to make sure you are informed about everything important in progressive politics today. And if you are looking for fact-based independent reporting all day, every day, follow me here on Instagram or here on Facebook. See you in the next video.